Welcome to Becoming Boss C. Today, we will learn all about the Certified Internal Auditor Exam, Part 2, Domain 3, Performing the Engagement. Remember, this domain accounts for 40% of your total exam score, which is substantial. Here are the syllabus objectives for Domain 3. Number 1, information gathering. A, gather and examine relevant information. For example, review previous audit reports and data, conduct walkthroughs and interviews, perform observations, etc., as part of a preliminary survey of the engagement area. B, develop checklists and risk and control questionnaires as part of a preliminary survey of the engagement area. C, apply appropriate sampling, such as non-statistical, judgmental, discovery, etc., and statistical analysis techniques. Number 2, analysis and evaluation. A, use computerized audit tools and techniques such as data mining and extraction, continuous monitoring, automated work papers, embedded audit modules, etc. B, evaluate the relevance, sufficiency, and reliability of potential sources of evidence. C, apply appropriate analytical approaches and process mapping techniques such as process identification, workflow analysis, process map generation and analysis, spaghetti maps, RACI diagrams, etc. D, determine and apply analytical review procedures or techniques such as ratio estimation, variance analysis, budget versus actual, trend analysis, other reasonableness tests, benchmarking, etc. E, prepare work papers and documentation of relevant information to support conclusions and engagement results. F, summarize and develop engagement conclusions, including assessment of risks and controls. Number 3, engagement supervision. A, identify key activities in supervising engagements. For example, coordinate work assignments, review work papers, evaluate auditors' performance, etc. Now, let's discuss how to perform the engagement, starting with audit work papers. Audit work papers serve a variety of purposes. They support the observations identified in the audit report, help internal auditors conduct and supervise the audit, and allow people who are not on the engagement team to review the audit's quality for peer reviews or quality assurance reviews. Work papers should contain the audit objectives, procedures, facts, conclusions, and recommendations. Remember, a work paper is not complete until the audit objective has been met and is supported. Work papers can include flowcharts, graphs, tables, narratives, supporting documentation, and tick marks. Now let's answer practice question number 1. A work paper is complete when it A, is clear, concise, and accurate. B, contains all elements of a finding. C, satisfies the objective for which it is developed. Or D, complies with the auditing department's format requirements. So, when is a work paper complete? Yes, for A, we want our work paper to be clear, concise, and accurate. But remember, the CIA exam is looking for the best answer and not just a right answer. We want the best possible answer. B, contains all elements of a finding. Sure, we do want that as well, but we want even more out of our work paper. C, satisfies the audit objective for which it is developed. We'll come back to that one. And D, complies with the auditing department's format requirements. Format, that's more of a personal choice, or I guess the organization's preferences, but that's not a true purpose of the completion of the work paper. The real answer here is C. The work paper is really complete when it satisfies the audit objective for which it is developed. Formatting of the work paper can vary from organization to organization. Yes, we want it to contain all elements of the finding. However, work papers should also show how the auditor satisfied the audit objective, obtained all evidence that led to those findings. And yes, we do want our work paper to be clear, concise, and accurate, but we also want to make sure that the main objective was fulfilled. All right, let's move on. The most effective way to ensure an audit is of high quality and meets professional standards is by supervising the audit activities from planning to fieldwork to reporting. Supervisors should review and approve the final audit work program, provide internal audit staff with directions, review work papers completed by staff, make sure the audit is progressing and objectives are being met, and attend important meetings with the internal audit staff and management. Now let's answer number 2 about audit supervision. Number 2, which of the following activities does not constitute audit supervision? A, providing appropriate instructions to the auditors. B, preparing a preliminary audit program. C, reviewing audit work papers. D, seeing that audit objectives are achieved. So here they're asking which scenario or which choice does not require audit supervision. And we know that supervisors really should send instructions or directions to auditors. That's how the audit objectives are complete. We have to make sure that our staff know what to do and what should be done throughout the audit, from planning to reporting. B, preparing a preliminary audit program. I'll come back to that one. C, reviewing audit work papers. That's one of the key tasks of an audit manager or audit supervisor. They are supposed to review audit work papers to ensure that the audit objective is being satisfied within that work paper. D, seeing that the audit objectives are achieved. Yes, that goes along with C somewhat. The supervisor needs to make sure that audit objectives are achieved in order to send out that final audit report with all the findings and observations that internal audit has identified. So we know that A, C, and D are not the answer. That means that B, preparing a preliminary audit program, is the answer, because supervisors do not have to supervise the preparation of a preliminary audit program. Rather, they are to review the preliminary audit program. So the staff is expected to prepare the audit program, whereas the supervisors are expected to review that audit program. So that's why B is the answer. These are a little tricky, so just be careful on your exam. Next, let's discuss analytical procedures. When performing the engagement, internal auditors may receive a large amount of financial or statistical data. In order to gain insights on that data, they may utilize analytical procedures to identify financial or operational trends, to understand the significance of the process being examined, or determine if the system or process is adequate to complete the established goals, and to make predictions about upcoming periods of activity. Analytical procedures could include performing a cost-benefit analysis, performing a trend analysis, or calculating financial ratios such as ROI, return on investment, or return on assets, perform big data analytics, or perform statistical analysis to identify regression and correlation relationships. Number 3, during an audit, the internal auditor should consider the following factors in determining the extent to which analytical procedures should be used. A, adequacy of the system of internal control. B, precision with which the results of analytical audit procedures can be predicted. C, significance of the area being examined. Or D, all of the above. So here we are asking internal auditors should consider which of the following factors when determining the extent of analytical procedures that should be used. So all of these really are something that the internal auditor should consider when determining how far or how many analytical procedures should be performed. We do want to know, is the system adequate? Is the precision with which the results of these procedures can be predicted important to us? So do we need to perform more statistical analysis rather than trend analysis? Then lastly, the significance of the area being examined is also important, because if we're just looking at, let's say, a cash balance, we may just need to do a trend analysis to see how did cash change from last year to this year. But if we're looking at derivatives, we may need to see, okay, how were these calculated? how did it change from last year to this year, and were all of the calculation inputs included in that final derivative amount. So depending on the complexity or the significance of the area, we may need to perform more or less analytical procedures. So that's why the answer here is D, all of the above. Now, let's discuss internal control questionnaires. The purpose of an internal control questionnaire is to collect data from auditees, and auditees are the people that we are auditing. So we want to collect data about past events, future planned events or initiatives, the auditee's current behavior or control procedures. Questionnaires help us understand auditees' attitudes, opinions, and views about the effectiveness, efficiency, and adequacy of the organization or the department's policies and control activities. Questionnaires are popular because they are not very expensive and can be sent to multiple control owners at once and do not require an auditor to be present when that questionnaire is complete. Internal control questionnaires sound great, but remember, we still need to obtain additional evidence to verify or corroborate the auditee's statements. Trust but verify. Number 4, which of the following statements describes an internal control questionnaire? It A, provides detailed evidence regarding the substance of the control system. B, takes less of the auditee's time to complete than other control evaluation methods. C, provides indirect audit evidence that might need corroboration. D, requires that the auditor be in attendance to effectively administer it. So here they're asking which one of these statements describes the internal control questionnaire. Remember, with A, it does not provide detailed evidence because generally in questionnaires, we are asking high-level general questions. If we really want to get into the details of the substance of a control system, we will more than likely perform a walkthrough where we physically and verbally inquire rather than sending a questionnaire to our audit client or our auditee. B, it does not take less time for the auditee because it's easier for the auditee and it's faster for the auditee to verbally answer our questions rather than writing out or typing out full open-ended answers to all of our questions. So that's why A and B are not correct. D, requires that the auditor be in attendance to effectively administer it. No, that's one of the advantages of internal control questionnaires. We do not have to be physically present to administer a internal audit questionnaire. We can just email it or we can fax it, etc. It's that simple. So the answer here is C. It provides indirect audit evidence that might need corroboration. Remember, an auditee can respond to a questionnaire in any manner that they choose, and it could be factual or it could not be factual. It's our obligation as auditors to corroborate or make sure that those statements are true by obtaining sufficient evidence. All right. Next, let's talk about interviews. Interviews can be structured with standard pre-established questions or unstructured with different open-ended questions that are spontaneously asked. Well, interviews can be conducted via email or by phone, but face-to-face interviews allow the internal auditors to observe the interviewee's facial expression and body language as they speak. It helps when internal auditors ask general questions to build a connection or rapport with their interviewee, such as asking them how they are doing and what their job role is. Number 5, when conducting interviews during the early stages of an internal audit, it is more effective to A, ask surprise questions about daily procedures, B, ask people about their jobs, C, ask for specific answers that can be quantified, or D, take advantage of the fact that fear is an important part of the audit. So we are conducting an interview in the early stage of an internal audit. Therefore, we do not want to ask them any surprise questions because we're trying to build trust and build a connection with those interviewees. So we don't want to do that. Then we don't want to ask too specific questions While it would be great to obtain those in the early stages of the internal audit, we just want to know the general process, the general procedures that the interviewee performs or conducts. And then D, we never want to make our interviewee feel fearful of us. We want to establish a relationship of trust and understanding so that they are not afraid to be forthcoming with information. So that's why the answer here is B. We want to be more general and ask general questions about their jobs, their roles, their activities that they perform during the month or during the quarter or annually, etc. So that's why the answer here is B. Ask people about their jobs. Now, let's talk about evidence and audit evidence that we obtain. So when conducting audits, it is vital for internal auditors to obtain sufficient, relevant, and competent evidence. These are the standards for audit evidence. Evidence should be sufficient, which means we should obtain supporting documentation that is convincing. There should be enough evidence to support our findings or conclusions or observations. So when you hear sufficient, think about the quantity of evidence. Evidence should be relevant, which means the evidence we obtain should be related to the audit topic that we are examining. It should be focused and should align with our audit objectives. Evidence should be competent, meaning that the supporting evidence should be reliable, factual, and valid. When we obtain the original signed contract for an agreement, rather than just a copy of a contract, we are obtaining the most competent piece of evidence because it is the best available information. It is the primary source of that contract. Remember, observation through physical examination is the most persuasive evidence. And next is evidence from a third party. Then our observation of the auditee's procedures. And finally, inquiries of management or the auditee is the least persuasive evidence because they may or may not be telling us all the information available. So we would still need to corroborate what they are telling us. Number 6, what standard of evidence is satisfied by an original signed document? A, sufficiency, B, relevance, C, competence, D, usefulness. We just discussed this. The answer here is competence. And it's competence because remember, competence is trying to get the best available, reliable information. Rather than getting a copy of the signed document, we obtain the primary source or the original signed document to make sure that it is reliable, it is factual, and it is convincing. That means that no manipulation has occurred to the original signed document. Remember, sufficiency is about, do we have enough evidence? Relevance is about, okay, is this evidence even important to the audit objectives? Does it relate to the audit objectives that we're trying to satisfy? And usefulness, that's just a filler word in there that does not even relate to the standards of audit evidence. So ignore that completely. Number 7, when an internal auditor is interviewing to gain information, the auditor will not be able to remember everything that was said in the interview. The most effective way to record interview information for later use is to A, write notes quickly, trying to write all details, then type everything said into a computer for documentation. B, hire a professional secretary to take notes, allowing complete concentration on the interview, then delete unimportant points after the meeting. C, tape record the interview to capture everything everyone says, then type everything into a computer for documentation. D, organize notes around topics on the interview plan and note responses in the appropriate area, reviewing the notes after the meeting to take or make edits. So let's go through each of these. We're looking for the most effective way to record interview information for reference on later in the audit engagement. So write notes quickly, trying to write all details. No. When you are in an interview, it's almost impossible to write all the details. And honestly, all the details that the interviewee may say may not even be relevant to the audit. Think about it. When you answer questions, sometimes you go off topic, you talk about different just different areas of discussion that don't even relate to the audit objective. So you should not try to type everything that is said into a computer for documentation. And that's why A is incorrect. B, hire a professional secretary to take notes. We're looking for the most effective way to record information from that interview. And so hiring someone just to take notes is not effective or efficient. So that's why B is not the correct answer. I mean, it would help us, but that would also include us extending the budget, trying to find a secretary. So that would be too much for our engagement. C, tape recording the interview. That is a viable option, but then it says typing everything into the computer. We don't want to type everything. We don't want to tape record everything because remember, some things are not important to the audit, or this could be a confidential matter and we are not granted with the permission to tape record. So in some areas of the country or even of the world, you are not able to record people if they are not consenting to being recorded. So that's why C is not the correct answer. The answer here is D. We want to organize our notes around our topics or around our audit objectives, and then only note the responses to those specific topics. And then afterwards, we can review the notes to make edits or changes. So that's why D is the answer. Now, let's talk about the types of audit evidence. What are the types of audit evidence and how do internal auditors obtain them? Well, physical evidence is obtained through direct inspection or observation of people, property, or events. So when we perform an inventory count or a cycle count of inventory, that is an example of obtaining physical evidence since we are physically watching the inventory personnel count inventory. Taking a photograph and inspecting an asset at the auditee's office or warehouse are all examples of physical evidence. Documentary evidence includes information that was created, such as obtaining contracts, letters, accounting records from the general ledger, obtaining invoices, and purchase orders. Those are all examples of obtaining documentary evidence. Testimonial evidence is obtained through others' statements or accounts of events in response to interviews, surveys, or questionnaires. A written, signed statement or questionnaire from an interviewee is an example of testimonial evidence. Analytical evidence includes calculations, comparisons, computations, and business reasoning or justification for changes in activity or trends. For example, management's financial analysis over the income statement, balance sheet, or cash flow statement are all examples of analytical evidence. We may recalculate percentages and recalculate changes in financial amounts to validate the accuracy of management statements. Let's go to the final question. Number 8. An internal auditor takes a photograph of the auditee's workplace. The photograph is a form of what kind of evidence? A, physical, B, documentary, C, testimonial, or D, analytical. So if we take a photograph of an inventory count being performed, or we take a photograph of a new asset that was recently purchased by a company, that photograph is a form of physical evidence because we are physically observing that asset or observing that inventory count process being performed. Documentary, we mentioned, those are things like obtaining letters, obtaining contracts. Testimonial, those are taking evidence of the completion of surveys or questionnaires or even hearing interviews. Analytical, that's more performing a financial analysis or operational analysis over amounts and quantities. So that's why the answer here is A, physical evidence. If you made it this far, type I will pass part 2. Type I will pass part 2 in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to Becoming Boss C and hit the like button, consider becoming a channel member by clicking the join button below. For more ways to support the channel, check the description box below. As always, stay blessed and stay boss-C.